I had a relatively normal childhood. High school, college, graduated with my bachelor's in nursing from UAB and went on into my nursing career. I specialized in pediatric ER, neurosurgery, and then hospice. During my hospice career, I was introduced to opiates before I knew it was completely out of hand. I was using it to get up. I was using it to go to sleep. As the years passed, my husband also wound up in addiction to opiates and several other substances. So together we were a recipe for disaster. In 2011, our lives spiraled completely out of control. He went to prison for 20 years, and I was fully addicted to opiates at that point. That opiate addiction ultimately went from pills to Dilaudid to heroin, and then ultimately an overdose of fentanyl in 2016. Over the next 6 years, I went in and out of the Lovelady Center. I had been to multiple jails. I had already been sentenced to Tutwiler and spent a year in Tutwiler prison. After my overdose, they had called and told my mother that I was dead. However, God saw fit that that would not be my end. When they called her to come and pick me up, she had no idea what she was going to do with me, and I didn't blame her. And so she dropped me off on the front steps of the Lovelady Center again. And I walked upstairs, and I'll never forget Miss Melinda saying, "Carmen, are you going to sit still this time?" And at that point, I was hopeless. I knew that I was looking at life in prison. I had just overdosed. But the thought of dealing with the chaos that I had made in addiction, having to deal with that sober, was almost impossible.
I was born and raised in the projects, Islington Village. You know, my mom had 4 girls. It was a family where everybody was drunk all the time. Drinking was a big part of my childhood. And I was thinking I'm never gonna drink like that, because it would be fights. You know, my mom pulled guns on us all the time. She shot one boyfriend in my bedroom while I was folding clothes. This is the same boyfriend that molested me. I told my mom everything. She did not believe me. She told me that I wanted her man, that I was a slut. She hated me. She wished I would get out of her house. So I ended up trying to kill myself. I took a whole bottle of pills. I woke up. I had been in a coma for a long time, and I woke up. My mom and her boyfriend was standing over me in the hospital. I got married, had 3 children, I had a store in the mall. Life was really good. I thought it was really good, but I had pressed everything down about my childhood. And one night after the show, they said, you know, you had a couple of drinks, let's sober up. Let's go to the car and sober up. Me not even thinking about, never knowing what drugs were and what they do to you. I said yes, and I did a line of cocaine, and it took my whole life. And I lost everything. I lost my children. I lost my husband. I ended up walking the streets out here in Woodlawn, you know, trying to find a fix, trying to find a drug, you know, getting in cars with men, doing whatever I had to do to get drugs. It took my whole life. So I was in work release for possession. And years went by. I ended up going to prison again. And this time they gave me 10 years. And I thought my life was over.
I had 2 wonderful parents who loved me and took care of me, the best childhood ever. When I hit about 17, I did like the normal experimenting. I started drinking, but even then I was still doing everything I was supposed to. I made straight A's, got a scholarship right out of high school. My husband and I tried opiates for the first time I was probably about 19. I had no clue that you could get addicted the way that, and then like one day you just wake up and you're hurting and you feel like you have the flu and you just can't go on without it. We ended up getting married January 3rd of 2006. And we found out we were having Cameron. That's my oldest daughter. I did not do anything when I was pregnant with her. We were clean for that time. And then right after we had her, we started Oxycontin. I lost my job at UAB. It was 12 years down the drain that I'd worked so hard for. I was ready to start over. I was ready to stay clean, and It's like this nagging thing in your brain, like you need something, you need something, you need something. And then came 2016. That was the worst year of my life. We started IV using heroin and meth. And that is when we honestly took a nosedive. I could teach you how to lose everything in your life in about 6 months. I found out I was pregnant with Mason, my youngest son, at the end of 2016, and I had no idea what to do. That was probably the most broken, scared, most horrible thing I've ever gone through, because I knew that was hurting the baby inside of me, and I had no idea how to fix it.
My mother had an affair on my father when I was 8 years old with a man that she had met at work. And this guy would call our house and hang up the phone. Whenever I would answer the phone, he would call and hang up. They got a house in Leeds, and they moved in together like not even a week after my mom and dad split up. Well, when I was like 13 years old, this man was very, I saw him like looking out my bedroom window while me and my friends were outside. He had taken a bunch of pictures of me. He had molested me. There were things that he did that were very inappropriate that I didn't realize what he was doing until I got older and all this stuff happened. But it destroyed my vision of a man, you know, like I was just like, I don't know, it made me very insecure. I felt like I wasn't worthy, like I was destructive. A friend of mine, she called my mother and told my mom what had happened. And my mother stayed with him. Right when I went to my mom and I was like, Mom, what are you doing? You know, this is the man that put his hands on me. My mother was my idol growing up. I loved my mother. I looked up to her, you know, and to be disappointed by someone who you look up to, who is your mother, you know, like God gave that person to you as your, you know, that's my mom, you know, it's difficult. My mother found a bag of a bunch of personal items of mine and all the pictures that he had taken. She didn't believe me, you know, and then there it was right there in front of her face. Growing up, you know, not going out to the club, started and using ecstasy, anything to numb the feeling, you know, of what I had been through. A lot of broken relationships, a lot of toxic relationships. I had gotten involved in meth. I lost all 3 of my kids. Never imagined that I would be without my kids, you know, and I start thinking, I'm in the car and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go. I was headed to go and get a shot of heroin and had never shot up heroin, you know, I just started shooting up meth. I was going to meet someone to get some heroin that day and I was gonna end my life. I was driving down the interstate, flying, I was going like maybe 80, 90, and I looked up and I was like, God, I need your help, Lord. I need you, Father God. Here I am and going to war with the devil. You know, he's trying to kill, steal, and destroy. That's what he'd been doing from the very beginning at a young age when I was molested. That was his plan, was to destroy my life. But God, I was driving down the interstate and I look behind me and there's blue lights. God sent me an angel and he was in a uniform, and I'll never forget what he looked like. I'll never forget his voice. I pulled over and that was where it all began. You know, I felt like from that moment forward, there was no fighting. You know, I felt like this was it. This was the beginning of something great.